Yes, just listening to the Artane Boys Band perform there. Joe Lynch, as I said, conducting the band. Always a special day for Joe, but today tinged with just a little bit of sadness because today is indeed his final day in charge of the Artane Boys Band after, would you believe, 39 years of service with the band in one capacity or another. And we'd like to thank Joe for all of the enjoyment that he has given us with the Artane Boys Band down through the years. Of course, the Artane Boys Band themselves will continue to perform and entertain us here at Croke Park, I have no doubt, for many a long year to come. On that note, we'll take a short commercial break. Come back to us again at Croke Park for the build-up to the All-Ireland finals. But not that long to go to the minor match, about 16 minutes' time. Well, the Tyrone players, of course, came down to Dublin last night, stayed at a quiet location last night to try and get into the right mood for today's big game. Tony O'Donoghue this morning has been catching up with some of the people behind the Tyrone scene.
Tyrone were seen off in style from Dungannon yesterday, and if goodwill was enough to win matches, this Tyrone side would already have their first title in the bag. Dublin might be the bookies' favourites, but the warmth of the send-off proved to Tyrone that Sam Maguire would be very welcome in the O'Neill county. Something for the team to ponder on the rocky road to Dublin. The last time Tyrone got to the All-Ireland final was in 1986. They were beaten that year by Kerry, of course, but it took them hours to leave Dungannon because of the amount of well-wishers. Well, this year they've changed. They've been far more businesslike in their approach, and they stayed overnight here at Finstown House Hotel in County Dublin. This morning, they all rose early and had a leisurely breakfast at around 10 o'clock. Then, the family that prays together stays together, they say. They had Mass celebrated by Father Dermot Maloney, a curate from Dungannon, originally a Louth man. Next item on the agenda was a trip to Lucan Sarsfield's GAA club. All right, Pat, first of all, if I can ask you, what sort of a night did the team have?
Nice, quiet night. Went to bed in a reasonable time. It's a very quiet hotel. We enjoyed the night.
And today, then?
Today we had breakfast this morning. We had Mass in the hotel there. We're just out here now for a light kick around, more for nerves than anything else.
What about the physical fitness of the team at this stage? Are you happy with that?
We think that they're very, very fit. We think they'll be as fit as Dublin. And we hope that our fitness will win at the end of the day.
A run out like this, what can that achieve at this stage now, just hours before the throw-in?
To be uncharitable, you can say wasting there. But some of them like doing it. It gets their thoughts off the actual match, and they like to get a ball into their hands. Some of them like to kick a ball. Some of them don't talk out at all.
It was said before the semi-final against Galway that the feeling in the Tyrone camp wasn't great. You won that rather narrowly. What's the feeling like this morning?
Well, probably it's true to say that our big game was a Derry game. And after that we were favourites. Now we're back in the Derry situation today. And it would best describe probably as quietly confident. I think if we play that we'll win.
And everyone fitting well?
Everyone fitting well. Everybody that plays will be fit.
So Tyrone are ready. This wasted hour in Lucan could calm the nerves as they prepare to take on the Dubs in their backyard and lift Sam Maguire for the very first time.
I'm going home, back to Tyrone. I'm going home, back to Tyrone. Just take me back, I'm on the rack. I'm so alone, just take me home, back to Tyrone.
Before the commercial break, we saw the Dublin team arrive here for their big day. The Tyrone team have also been making their way to Croke Park for their big day as well. Here they come, and my goodness, what a nervous day it is for all of these players. Pascal Canavan, the other Canavan going through there. Finbar McConnell, the goalkeeper, and all the other players making their way in. Kieran Corr, the captain there, sees somebody that he knows up in the crowd as well. And I suppose a friendly face, always something that you would look out for in moments like this. The Devlins, Paul and Faye Devlin, the full back line, though not related, going through there as well. And the Tyrone players looking anxious. Peter Canavan, of course. Jason Sherlock is the darling of Dublin. Peter Canavan, to the right of the screen there, the darling of Tyrone all through this championship. Indeed, a few more championships before this as well. Well, there's a familiar face being introduced to the crowd here at Croke Park. He made a big appearance at a GAA ground not so long ago, making a slightly different appearance here at Croke Park today, this time as a spectator, and rightly receiving the applause and the accreditation that the people of Croke Park will afford to him today as the still and reigning world champion. Stephen Collins. Yes, well, little doubt as to who Steve Collins will be cheering for this afternoon, but as he leaves the pitch here at Croke Park, let me go back again to our panel of Martin McHugh. Sean Boylan is with us as well. Most people in Meath, despite the great battles they've had down through the years, will certainly not begrudge Dublin if they won this one.
Oh, not at all. In fact, I'd love to see it. It was interesting when Peter Canavan, when the lads have been interviewed, the Tyrone supporters beforehand, they were calling Peter Canavan God. And I heard this on the way in, and they were saying, you know, that he can walk on water. And there was a smart dub going by and saying, yeah, he can't swim. It'll be a great occasion. Of course, you'd like to see Dublin. They've tried so hard, they've battled so hard over the last few years, but at the same time, they know themselves that, you know, you have to earn it on the day, and that's what we've done.
I've been talking to Art McCrory during the week and also to Eugene McKenna, and they were making the point that they want to win as badly as Dublin do. They're as hungry for an All-Ireland as Dublin. Everybody's talking about Dublin. They want it as well, Martin.
Yes, definitely. You know, the hunger is going to be there on both sides. I think that Tyrone really, you know, the Donegal, Derry Down thing, and they really believe that they're as good, which they are. And they know if they go back to the end on one, that they've been classed as failures and Ulster. So they're really going to be very hungry. But it's interesting to see Jason Charlotte come in there in the haircut. It's like the Gaza thing. Every Dublin, young in Dublin have this haircut now, things go right today for him. But it's the makings of a great match, and it's great. Two great bunches of borders, and the day is great, and so we have a great match, and we need a good match. And I know that you need Dublin to win, and people believe Tyrone could have won. So it's down to whatever team, the first 20 minutes could be very, very important who settles early, you know.
I have no doubt that Tyrone will take an awful lot of inspiration for what Donegal did in 1992, because the situations are very, very similar. You played the Connacht champions in a semi-final. It wasn't maybe a great match on that particular occasion. Underdogs on the big day, and you turned it all on its head.
Yeah, I think that you know, this Tyrone team are capable of playing a lot better than they did against Galway, and they know themselves they're going to have to do that. I think Adrian Kushner is a big loss to them.
Yeah.
Now, he definitely in the Ulster final and the game against Derry and in the All-Ireland semi-final, he turned the matches when he came on. He's a big loss. Now, we had the same as Martin Shovlin in '92, so the whole thing seems to be going the same way. I think I'm very disappointed for Adrian. He's a great player, and you know, this way you really show where you're a good player or not, and he would have the capability of doing that. So I'm very disappointed for him, but I know the lads investing in him will say, for his sake, you know, they'll go out there and they'll do more.
Sean, in the Leicester final, you were obviously very determined that you would make a breakthrough again this year. Good young players coming through. They took you apart on the day.
They took us apart. You know, with 18 minutes to go, we were leading a point, and suddenly Dublin went into another gear. And they were awesome in their power that day, and they were phenomenally fit, but they got great scores. And we had no answer to it, Michael, and so there were no excuses. In fairness to Dublin, right through the campaign, against Louth, against Laois, against ourselves, you know, there was a steely determination about them, and you know, they were out men with a mission, and I can't see that changing. And I think it's going to be, it's going to take a great Tyrone effort today to unsettle Dublin on the mission that they have in mind.
Always means we talk about that, but it's more significant in this case because this is where Brian Steins excelled when Cork threw everything at them in their semi-final, and Tyrone have not played particularly well in that sector throughout the summer.
No, they haven't, but the last day when they brought the captain, when they brought Kieran out of the middle field against Galway, he turned the game around and he had a big effect on him. Now, I believe Fergal Logan wasn't well last night, that he had some sort of a virus or whatever, but Tyrone, in fairness, have not been playing well there, but neither were Dublin for a while until suddenly it started to happen. You know, against Laois, both Paul Beal and Brian started to come to them. So it can happen for Tyrone today, but you know, it'll be down to the final again.
Okay, well in a moment, Sean and Martin, the Taoiseach will be arriving here at Croke Park, and we'll be just awaiting his arrival, and I'm sure that he's looking forward to this day as much as we are. Just while we're waiting for him, Martin, let me take you back to the Ulster final and the game against you. You know exactly the worth of this Tyrone team, having seen how they performed against you on the day.
Yeah, well, I think in the Ulster final, you know, we had a couple of chances of goals early on if we get them. We knew that we wanted to be ahead of them, putting them under pressure. Didn't happen. They played well. They didn't play that well in the Ulster final. They played well maybe for the last 10 minutes or so. But I think if they get on top of you, they're a team that can put you away. But the funny thing about today's match, you're looking, it's very interesting to see the two smallest men on the field both playing at full forward on both ends of the field, which is interesting one. I say way back years ago, you'd never have seen that. So it just shows you how the style of football has changed. But I think that we're talking about the middle of the field. I think Finbar McConnell's kick-outs will actually bypass the middle of the field, which will be a help to Tyrone. And I think they'll go to actually crowd out that day. Now, what really changed the game the last day, the Tyrone midfield had been playing poorly, but their best performance against Derry's one of the better midfielders in the country.
Well, Martin, just on that note, the Taoiseach, John Bruton, is arriving at Croke Park, and he will take the Taoiseach's salute with an Ord Stewart, come on, Luke Lascale, Liam Mulvihill. So, as An Taoiseach takes his place in the stand then for the match, another big event is now about to take place. That's the introduction of the Jubilee team, now very much part and parcel of All-Ireland final day. And the Jubilee team of this year will be introduced in a moment by Mick Dunn.
The men of Meath, the men of Cavan. And then came those pulsating moments. Meath's Paddy Meegan races down the wing, dodges his way through, a hard shot towards the goal. Morris saves, but Bill Hickley is in, and the ball is in the net for a goal that puts Meath on the highway to football on. The senior teams Kerry, the title holders and champions of Munster, and Meath, the holders of the Leinster crown. Tries to open up a movement, but it's spoiled before Meath's Matty MacDonald solos his way through to a brilliant point.
On himself.
And then Patsy McGearty, he was the goalkeeper in 54. The full back line in both finals, first Micheál O'Brien, then Paddy O'Brien, and Kevin McConnell. The half-backs were Seamus Heary, Kevin Lenihan, Paddy Dixon, Jimmy Riley, Chris Dohan, and Ned Durnan. One of the midfielders was Tom O'Brien. The right half forward in 1949 was Frankie Byrne. The right full forward in both years is Paddy Meegan. And the full forward in 49 was Bill Halpenny. Full forward in 54, Tom Moriarty. And also on the two panels were Charlie Smith, Des Taft, Johnny Bashford, who's come over from England, and John Clark has travelled from America. Billy Radigan, Jerry Smith, Bernard Flanagan, Tom Duff, John Meehan, Tommy Farley, Jim Dean, Patsy Ratty, Larry O'Brien, Paddy Brady, Paddy Dunn, Matty McGuire, Richie Meade, and Jim Farrell is represented by his son John. Jim Carney, who's indisposed, is represented by his son Dermot. Paddy Carlin, also indisposed, is represented by his son Dennis. The late Paddy Connell is represented by his son Pat. The late Matty MacDonald represented by his son Martin. The late Larry McGuinness represented by his son Joe. The late Kevin Smith represented by his son Pat. And the late Mihal Grace represented by his son Noel. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's acclaim the men who won the championships in 1949 and 54.
Jubilee teams here at Croke Park this afternoon, the Meath teams of 1949 and 1954. Just a little over 20 minutes to the throw-in the senior final of 1995. We'll pick up the story again after this commercial break. And you're welcome back again to Croke Park. And indeed, if you're watching us from beyond these shores, welcome to Dublin and welcome to Croke Park on All-Ireland Football Final Day. People watching us in America, Australia, in Britain, and of course on the European mainland, places like Paris and Eindhoven. You've written to me to say you'll be watching today, and we say hello to you all, and I hope that you're going to enjoy the occasion. With me up here in the presentation box, we have Martin McHugh, who was here in 1992 as a player, Sean Boylan, manager of the Meath team to All-Ireland success. They're coming off the pitch right now. Here are the Dubs. Yes, a massive and loyal welcome for the Dubs from their supporters, and it's a feature of this present Dublin team. They've been through some tough times in the last few years from their point of view, but their supporters have stuck with them very, very loyally, and particularly all through this championship. It's been absolutely notable. We were down in Navan the day they played Louth, and the Dublin support that day and every other day has been absolutely phenomenal. Martin McHugh, we were just talking in the commercial break about one aspect of the championship this year that after the events of maybe the last couple of years, particularly last year, that's significant. Penalty kick. Who's going to take it? Sean Boylan tells us that Mick Deegan is here, Mark.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because in both the All-Ireland finals that they've lost, they haven't scored a goal and they've missed a penalty in the two matches. So it's going to be interesting. It could be very important. I don't think Charlie Redmond will kick it anyway. Let's see, Sean has said it's Mick Deegan, you know, and he plays soccer and that there, so I'd say that might probably be the most confident individual to take it, you know. It's going to be interesting as well to see, will Desi Farrell and Paul Clark switch? I think that Desi Farrell is better on the 40, and I think they probably will switch at the start of the match.
Well, this obviously has been a situation that's been a big success for Dublin this year. The way they've used Desi Farrell sort of roaming across that half-forward line.
Yeah, he's having a great year. It's his best year so far for Dublin. He's very strong on the ball, and he's good in there picking up breaks, and I think centre forward is his best position. I think that Paddy Moran will probably pick up Peter Kahneman as well. I would say they're going to leave him there. Yeah. Their half-back line really has been the strong point of the team, and I remember we playing them in '92. The three of them were always for attacking and left spaces behind. They've stopped doing that really, and Keith Barr doesn't actually nearly go past the middle of the field. So the stronger that unit there is stronger now than they were then, and that really is maybe the place where if Dublin won the match, they could win it from there.
Dermot Deasy, of course, as we know, Sean, is out of the full back line. Now, with no insult at all to Dermot Deasy, but the line is not necessarily weakened by Kieran Walsh coming in, because Kieran's a good, steady player.
Yeah, he's a good, steady player, but I think that from the way things went the last day, Kieran Walsh probably would have been on the team anyhow. But I would count over the last 4 years, every football was going to take Dermot Deasy apart. But nobody has ever done it. Nobody ever does it because he's one of those players, he's always in front of you. But Kieran has a lot of experience. It's a big day for him. I'm delighted because of his injury last year that he's back out there again. And it'll be a major day for him. They say that he possibly will take up the full-back position on Peter Canavan. Well, he'll have his hands full.
Sean, 3:15 is when Tyrone are due out on the field here, only for their second time ever in an All-Ireland final, of course 1986 being that other occasion. Their supporters are mostly down on the canal end, of course, apart from being in the stands as well, and when they run out in the picture, we'll see them do that in just a moment. There's going to be some cheer and some welcome for them.
There's going to be an incredible welcome for them. The enthusiasm, the fire that's in them, they feel we're not going to let Ulster down. You know, and Ulster team has after us the last 4 years, and we're certainly not going back without Sam. So you can imagine the pressure that's on them. But this is a very young, very fast, very determined Tyrone team, and they're going to take an awful lot of beating.
Here they come. They're coming out of the pitch right now. There you can see the pictures tell their own story of the kind of welcome that Tyrone got, and well, no matter how many times you come to Croke Park on big match day, that moment where the teams run out on the field still manages to put the hair standing on the back of your neck. But I have to say, Martin McHugh, of all of the big welcomes in recent years that I remember, the welcome that's greeted you in 1992 from your supporters stands out in my mind.
Yeah, well, it's someone that you know, you don't believe it, they run out onto Croke Park, and the other thing that you have to do, and that Tyrone team have to do now, they go out to it and the adrenaline's flying in their body, but they have to settle themselves back down now and start concentrating on the game, and that's the important thing. A match in All-Ireland final can bypass you before you ever think you're in it, so it's important for them that they settle them down. But it's a great occasion to run out there, but I think the most time a player enjoys that is when he watches on video later on. He should just concentrate on the, you know, and get himself settled back down.
All right, Martin, Tony O'Donoghue, Marty Morrissey have been our reporters here in Croke Park today. A little bit of team news coming up right now.
Thank you, Michael. Well, miracles can happen at Croke Park. Adrian Cush, we were told, is out of this game. He has stripped and will be on the substitutes bench. 10 minutes perhaps is all he's needed for. We don't know. I was asked whether his fitness had failed or not. I was told he was disappointed with his fitness. He could be on for 10 minutes. Marty.
Thank you, Tony. Well, in contrast, the Dublin team were very relaxed in the dressing room. They feel confident. It's experience now, they say. And the big news, as I said earlier, is that Kieran Walsh will take on Peter Canavan for the All-Ireland football final.
Right, Marty and Tony, thank you for that. Well, two interesting pieces of news there. First of all, let's go back to Adrian Cush, Martin. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's definitely good news for Tyrone. The thing I was a wee bit worried about thinking about, I really thought they should have started both McLean and Adrian Cush, because I think that what they're doing is, if they lose two other players in the field now, especially two backs get injured, they can't actually only play one of them. So they're in a situation where they're playing, they're going to have to use the substitutions, you know, and you could end up getting stuck like that there. I believe you pick your team the way you feel it, but the Tyrone men feel that Adrian Cush especially is better coming into the match. But it's very, very good news. It's very, very good news for Tyrone.
Peter Canavan, we just saw going through the picture there, warming up, top scorer on the Tyrone team. Second highest scorer, Matthew McLean, who of course is in the subs.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, you know. Myself personally, I rate Matthew McLean very highly, and I thought if I was manager, I would have started him, but as I say, the Tyrone men know that themselves. But I think that sometimes in All-Ireland finals, people you most expect to turn it on, somebody else comes out of the blue and does it. So Tyrone hopefully have somebody else there that could, obviously you don't expect to do it well in the day. But I think there's a lot of pressure on Peter Canavan. It's interesting to note that Kieran Walsh is picking him up. I thought maybe Paddy Moran would, but maybe they feel that Kieran Walsh is a better man-to-man mark. It's going to be an interesting tussle. Kieran hasn't played a lot of football at full-back for Dublin, he played most of it in the corner. So it's going to be but it depends totally on the ball that Tyrone get into. And the other interesting thing is that their kickouts, Finbar McConnell takes the kickouts, and they normally switch Kieran Carr across, pull the two midfield and get him across the field, and they'll be using that tactic of say today to upset the Dublin, where he actually done it against us, interchanged across, and they played the ball kind of in front of him on the other side away from himself.
There's been so much talk Sean, about Peter Canavan. We mustn't forget the two men on the inside of them as well. Kieran McBride, who's had a very good year this year, and Stephen Lone, who's maybe been a little bit up and down in form.
Yeah, it's been a bit up and down, but Kieran McBride, if I could say that he's like a young Colin O'Rourke. He's a smashing player. He's a fantastic player, and wins a lot of ball. He's had a lot of trouble with his knee as well, but he's a great player. And an awful lot depends. The Dublin backs up to this. They've had this ability of not allowing forwards to play. They're right up on top of them all the time. They don't let them settle. And it'll be interesting to see how Tyrone would cope with that. I think the Tyrone forwards are going to have to be very, very busy to get away from them. And yet, if they do that, the danger is of allowing the Dublin half-backs to come down and set up things.
Let's talk about another Canavan, not Peter Canavan this time, but Pascal Canavan, who's playing at centre forward, Martin, who is maybe an underrated player in the sense that he's really a pivotal role there for them in that attack.
Yeah, he definitely is an underrated player. I think that Pascal is a tremendous worker. And the other thing he does well, and I like to see in a player, is that when he gets the ball, he's looking for Peter all the time because he knows that he can finish. And he is actually, I know brothers like that, but he does actually, he's looking for Peter. He does a lot of hard work and he follows back and he picks up a lot of loose ball around that area. Yeah, he's definitely an underrated player and he works very hard. But the thing about the Tyrone defence, with Charlie Redmond around and who doesn't miss frees, they're going to be very, very disciplined today and don't give away frees. And that's going to be very important. But in saying that, then that gives the Dublin forwards a better chance of kicking the score from play. So, but they have to discipline themselves. You can't afford to concede fouls against Charlie Redmond. But the funny thing is, the Dublin team up to now, their level of fitness has been very, very good. And maybe they've beaten a lot of teams their level of fitness. But this Tyrone team is going to be every bit as fit. So it's going to be interesting that way because they're a very, very fit Tyrone.
Tyrone have just won the toss. They're going to play from right to left, we gather, so they're going to play in towards us here into Hill 16.
Yeah, I was just saying that to you earlier on. We were listening to Pat Spillane talking. We made a decision, in 1992 that would actually play into the hill, so that when Dublin got the scores at the other end, it was actually scoring into the hill lifts the Dublin, the supporters lift the whole team. So we made a decision. We won the toss. Lucky enough, Andy Malloy won the toss, played into the hill, and I think that's probably a good decision by Tyrone.
Yeah. Well, we also saw there Paddy Russell and his linesmen getting ready for what is also a big day, of course, for them as well. Let me just talk, Sean Boylan, about the Dublin attack. I mean, we know Charlie Redmond what he can do from place balls and that, but Dublin have not been scoring all that freely from play in this summer and indeed other summers as well.
No, but at a certain point in every match, they seem to just be able to get the necessary scores, and different people are getting them. You know what I mean? Paul Clark had a great Leinster final. Jim Gavin has come in and he's done an awful lot. He's very industrious, very creative, doesn't waste the ball. Jason Sherlock has scored something like 2 or 3 or whatever it is up to this. Mick Galvin the last day. So different people are scoring. That's a great sign of a team. And let's not forget about Desi Farrell, whom Martin mentioned earlier. Desi's had a wonderful year. He's probably the most creative of the whole lot of them. He's a very, very clever player, but can score, as we found out now, with either foot.
Of course. Before we hand over for the commentary, Sean, your last minute prediction on the match?
I would have to stick by the Leinster champions. I'd have to stick by Dublin. But again, it's a final and anything can happen, but I would stick by Dublin.
Yeah, can Tyrone do it, Martin?
Well, I think if they start well, the start is going to be very important for them. I've gone for Dublin all along to now, and I'm going to stick by them, but I'd love to see Tyrone win it because we also would like to keep it back there. But I think the start's going to be very, very important for Tyrone.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for the moment. We'll talk later. And as the President of Ireland arrives at Croke Park and is about to be introduced to the team, let me hand you over to our big match commentator for the afternoon, Ger Canning.
About 7 minutes to go before the start of the 106th All-Ireland football final. And President Robinson, accompanied by GAA President Jack Boozman, coming across to have the traditional introduction to the two finalists, starting with Dublin and their captain, of course, John O'Leary. This first ever final between Dublin and Tyrone. Indeed, they've only clashed once previously at any stage in the championship, and that was in 1984 in the semi-final. And among those playing that day were John O'Leary and Barney Rock for Dublin, and Eugene McKenna and Frank McGuigan played for Tyrone. Ryan Steins there being introduced. Jim Gavin for Clark, who was practicing his free kicks just in case he should be called upon in the event of a recurrence of an injury to Charlie Redmond left the picture, talking to Jack Boozman. Jason Sherlock and Mick Galvin completing the introductions. And then the officials this afternoon, referee is Paddy Russell from County Tipperary, and his linesman William O'Mahon here from Limerick, and the other linesman is Francis Finan from Sligo. So now Kieran Corr introducing his men, starting with the tall goalkeeper Finbar McConnell. Must be one of the biggest goalkeepers ever, I suppose, to play in an All-Ireland final. 6'4.5" statistics. And then running down through the list, Faye Devlin and Ronan McGarrity, the half-back line there of Seamus McCallan and Sean McLaughlin. That's Fergal Logan in midfield, alongside the redhead Jody Gormley. And then the other is Pascal Canavan, Kieran Loughran, and then Dinky McBride, Peter Canavan, Peter the Great, they're calling him up in Tyrone, and completing the lineup, Stephen Lawn. So a wonderful sense of anticipation once again. So time to check on the two teams, and for Dublin it's a team with a largely familiar ring about it. The main worry, of course, in the full-back line, Dermot Deasy missing the match because of injury. Paddy Moore named at full-back with Kieran Walsh and Keith Galvin for company, although as we heard there, it may well be that Kieran Walsh will step into the centre to mark Peter Canavan. As usual, Charlie Redmond wears number 13 but will play top of the left, while further interchange is expected between Paul Clark and Desi Farrell on that half-forward line. So the beginning of the parade, a proud moment for both teams. Art McCrory and Eugene McKenna, the joint managers, resist the temptation to make any changes, so it's as you were from the Ulster final and indeed the All-Ireland semi. Fergal Logan continuing his partnership in midfield with Jody Gormley, while Kieran Loughran remains at wing forward and Stephen Lawn confirmed at top of the left. The Lawns are twins, the Canavans brothers, while the Devlins are just related in sport, and a little quest for All-Ireland medals as well. The Canal End belongs to the fans from Tyrone, but if you look right around the ground here, they are very, very well supported. Hard to say whether they outnumber the Dubs, but they certainly fairly well burst the decibel levels when they made that entry about 5 minutes ago. Tyrone, of course, anxious to maintain Ulster's dominance, anxious to bring the Sam Maguire Cup back north for the 5th successive year and continue Dublin's tale of woe. The colour, the flags, the banners have been all over Ulster for the last couple of weeks, all over Tyrone in particular, but they're getting support from all over the province. And the fans, as you can see and can gather, have travelled in tremendous numbers. What Down, Donegal, Derry and Down for a second time have achieved in the 90s, this Tyrone side certainly wants to emulate. Alongside me for commentary this afternoon, I've got Nico Dwyer. Nick, it's a wonderfully colourful occasion. Can the occasion, however, get to Tyrone? The Dubs have been here before, as we know only too well.
Yeah, it's a wonderful occasion. I think Tyrone must have the biggest support I've ever seen here at Croke Park. Where they got all the tickets, it's hard to say. But Tyrone are a very, very young side, and I think they're going to counter themselves here today. But this Dublin team have steeled 2 championships over the past 3 years. I think they're fitter and stronger this year than I have seen them over the past 4 or 5 years. Tyrone are a team, I think they're on the way up. They're a very young side. I think they will win an All-Ireland within the next few years, but I don't think this will be their year. I think Dublin are the team, I think, that are favourites today, and I think they could win this one by 4 or 5 points.
Of course, Art McCrory is on record of saying Dublin deserve to win the All-Ireland. Mind you, he qualified it by saying next year.
But I think the whole country have been saying that Dublin need this final. But what about Tyrone? They never won an All-Ireland title in their lives, so it's a big day for them. But Cush is going to be a big loss from Tyrone today. I think, you know, he should have been on the starting line if he was to be selected, but now that he's injured, he's going to be an awful loss. And McLennan as well as another player, I think, that I would have played if I was in charge of Tyrone. But it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds, and let's hope it'll be a good game, Joe.
I'm really not sure how fit Adrian Cush is at all. He picked up the injury on Monday night last. There were genuine concerns at that stage that he had broken his ankle. He was barely able to walk all week long, and whether or not he can make a contribution today, I really have a doubt, but we'll have to wait and see. people watching these pictures all over the world, as you heard earlier. I know that Gerard, Greg and Joan Connolly are watching it in the Cayman Islands. It's 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, I believe there. Special wishes also to a man in Beaumont Hospital who's Jerry Keegan, a former Leitrim footballer. Hello to you, Jerry. Hope you enjoy the match. The man they've all been talking about, of course, in the build-up, Jason Sherlock. And I think the Dublin management were beginning to worry a little bit more about the hype getting to Jason rather than the injury that Charlie Redmond is said to have had over the past few days.
I don't think the hype will matter that much. I'd want to take Jason Sherlock. He's that type of young fella.
He's a very easygoing character, of course.
No doubt.
So, as we have learned, Tyrone won the toss and they will play from right to left in the first half. John O'Leary with words for his team, playing today in his 66th championship match. I think the message is fairly clear. We've lost enough. It's time we won. I think Charlie was in there talking as well. Charlie Redmond, centre of picture. Well, you remember in the hurling final 2 weeks ago, there was a minute's silence here in memory of the Great Famine, which of course afflicted our nation 150 years ago, when 1 million people died of starvation, of disease. Another 1 million left our shores. Our population at that stage, around about 1841, stood at 8 million, maybe a little over by the time of the famine, which was 1845. And of course, you all know, at the beginning of this century, our population was down from 8 million to 4. It certainly was a watershed in the history of Ireland.
This year, we commemorate the 150th anniversary of the Great Famine. In memory of the many people who died on the battlefield of Ireland and in foreign lands, let us stand and pause for a moment silence in prayerful remembrance.
A deafening ovation from both sets of supporters. The Westmeath fans sharing Hell 16 with the Dubs this afternoon on a wonderful day for them, winning the minor title by 2 points against Derry. And as we've heard already, it's Kieran Walsh who takes up the marking duties on Peter Canavan, Paddy Moore on Dinky McBride, and that makes a bit of sense because they have similar height, around about 6'1", 6'2". So referee Paddy Russell poised to start this final. Desi Farrell goes into centre half forward. That's no great surprise. So now who will it be? Dublin looking for their 22nd All-Ireland title. Tyrone looking for a first. Paul Beelan stumbling. Pascal Canavan's in straight away. And the referee signalling that it's going to be a Dublin free. Dublin with a light breeze at their backs for the first 35 minutes. Pumped in well. And Finbar McConnell opting to let that one go harmlessly wide. McConnell beaten just once in the championship so far this season. Indeed, he's only conceded 2 goals, I think, in the last 14 matches. So a perfect afternoon for what we hope will be a great match. Dropped into midfield, dropped down by Jody Gormley, and again the referee signals that it's going to be a Dublin free. Stein's taking it. A couple of Tyrone players trying to make it theirs. Chris Lawn knocking it outside. Fergal Logan. What will that be their tactics at midfield as we watch Sean McLaughlin in an advanced position on towards Dinky McBride. Tyrone, it says, gets by Paddy Moran. Then Moran going back. Challenged strongly there by Stephen Lawn. And a free in. Chance here for Tyrone to take the lead.
No doubt, and it's only just started, but Tyrone looked very, very sharp, even though it's very, very early in the game.
Yes, just one attack, and already they're causing problems now. Peter Canavan here opting to kick it from the hands. He missed a few in the semi-final with that same tactic, but this one is absolutely perfect. So that free by Peter Canavan gives the Ulster champions the lead.
And that's a free that will settle Peter as well now for the rest of the game. And this man is an excellent player, and he's the one player that could really win it for Tyrone if it's to be won by them.
Sun into the eyes of John O'Leary. Third successive year to captain the team. Goes very short on this occasion to Keith Galvin. A bit of rain overnight, hence the ground is still rather slippery. Good block down there. The block by Stephen Lawn. Lawn tends to roam quite a bit. I know there are those in Tyrone who would wish him to be much more in an advanced position. Here's Deegan. Well caught in the air by Seamus McCallan. That will settle him down very well. Driven left-footed deep into his inside forward line. Comes off the falling body there of Paddy Moran. In by Kieran Loughran. And early indications here that the Tyrone forwards, given quality ball, can cause problems in there for the Dublin defence. Stephen Lawn winning the free. Once again they opt to bring Peter Canavan out. Free just inside the 45-metre line. Out of my way, he says to Keith Galvin. Getting to know one another fairly early on. Strikes me that it would suit Keith Galvin if Stephen Lawn does begin to wander, because Galvin will be quite happy to follow him on his travels. Here's Canavan. Curls in. Delightfully over the bar. 2 points for Tyrone, 2 points for Peter Canavan. They've made a dream start.
Unquestionably, this man Canavan is the man that can do it. But Dubliners have started again today like they did against Cork. You know, there don't seem to be any urgency in their play at the moment. So I suppose it's early days yet, but they'd want to be settling down pretty quickly.
Switch of direction by John O'Leary. Ooh, Fergal Logan hauls down Paul Phelan. Phelan from the Ballyboden St Enda's club. Kicking it forward towards Charlie Redmond. Runs on to Jason Sherlock. First taste of the action. Charlie Redmond appealing over there. But Tyrone get the decision kicked in field by Paul Devlin. Ronan McGarity playing it to the centre to Seamus McCallan. Fergal Logan once again, time and again he's been getting on the ball and hasn't been closed down quickly enough by Dublin. Paddy Moran beaten. It's Stephen Lawn. Nicely back here to Fergal Logan once more. Back from Dinky McBride to Logan. Jim Gavin going back, goal side, prods it away. Comes to Canavan, Peter Canavan. His brother just alongside him. Here's Jody Gormley. That's a great start for Tyrone, and Jody Gormley picks over their 3rd point. Well, he's only scored 2 points in the entire championship so far. Well, this was an excellent point set up by Peter the Great, as they call him, and Jody Gormley is a student at the University of Ulster, Jordanstown, where he's student union president, presides here. The Dubs followers, whatever about the team, I think are shell-shocked. Here's Gormley again. They've certainly won midfield in these opening minutes, but it's early days yet. Stephen Lawn leaping in the air there with Keith Galvin. Comes down to Paul Phelan. Free to Dublin. You get the feeling that Dublin are waiting for it to happen for them, when in fact they've got to go and make it happen.
Tyrone are so sharp, it's unbelievable. If they keep this up, I tell you, they're going to make it very, very hot for Dublin. Dublin are just not coming into the game at all.
Much of the Steve Collins tactics against Chris Eubank. Keith Barr kicking. And that will steady down the nerves a bit. A wonderful free kicked over in excellent fashion by Keith Barr. Hits a dead ball really well.
Yeah, there's a strong wind as well, and I think it seems to be favouring Dublin at this early stage, sir.
If anybody can rally the team, it's surely Barr from Erin's Isle. Fisted down again by Paul Beelan to another Paul. Paul Clark to Jason Sherlock against Chris Long. Sherlock stealing in well. Good supply of ball inside to McGalvin. Doesn't curl sufficiently, however. Dublin's second wide.
Yeah, that was a terrible wide by McGalvin. He had two players inside him. If you just notice here now, this was well created by Jason Sherlock. He let it off well. And Gallivan kicked, and he had two players inside him, which I think he should have given the ball to. And if he did, I think Dublin would have had another point.
As it is, two between them. Good distribution there by Jason Sherlock, the other side of his game. They're a blinding pace. Two jumping with one. But the Dub breaks it down to Desi Farrell. Mick Deegan now. Knocked in. Perhaps into the space where Jason Sherlock normally takes up position. This time it's Charlie Redmond. Lands on the ground and gets absolutely nothing for his troubles. And one way or the other, it's surely the day of reckoning for Dublin in particular, perhaps Deliverance Day. Trailing by 2 points. Knocked forward here by Jim Gavin, does such useful work. And that's a free kick for Dublin. Faye Devlin's tackle there goes punished by the referee, Paddy Russell.
Yeah, Dublin are bringing Jason Sherlock more into the game today. They're playing the ball low into him today, and I think that's going to be a very good gambit. That's something they didn't do in other games. They were lofting the ball in quite a lot, but today they're playing it low, and that will suit Jason.
Dublin have an injured player. It's Keith Galvin. Play is going to continue with this free kick, however. Galvin limps back. Well, a chance for Charlie Redmond to test the kicking skills. Not much hint of a thigh strain there. Over it sailed, and Charlie puts just the minimum between the teams.
This could be a contest today between Charlie Redmond and Peter Canavan.
Yes, 3 of the 5 points so far scored from place balls. Coming forward there and making it his was Keith Barr. Up quickly to take it towards Jason Sherlock, certainly causing a few early headaches for Chris Lawn. Jim Gavin. Sherlock again, fouled, free to Dublin. Jason thought about taking it quickly there, and the older heads in the team, I think, told him just take it easy, plenty of time.
There's a lot more workman like today, isn't he? He's going for everything today, and that's a big change in his play. The last day he was waiting for things to happen. Today he's making it happen.
It's been a productivity deal. Paul Clark taking over the free taking, and this is from just inside the 45-metre line. Just a variation on a theme, but over it goes, and the sides are level, and the Dubs have made a full recovery. 3 points apiece then after 10 minutes. Every possible vantage point is taken up this afternoon. 65,000 people here at Croke Park. Brian Steins touches it down towards Jim Gavin and picked up instead by Stephen Lawn. Good block here by Keith Galvin. Now where's the support coming from Brian Steins? Charlie Redmond tries to get away. Really bottled up well by the Tyrone defenders. Free to Dublin, however. Taken very quickly, spotting Mick Deegan unmarked momentarily. Unable to give the Dubs the lead, however.
I think that was a very, very bad decision by Charlie Redmond there. He had a free 45 yards out, and Charlie's deadly accurate from there, and he generally puts them over. I think he should have kicked that one from the ground.
Paul Beelan breaks it down. A lot of broken, spoiled play at midfield. Fergal Logan once again, the shoulder from Beelan. And the referee says not fairly executed. Here's Seamus McCallum. Dropped into the corner, but the race won over there by Paddy Moore and took his eye off the ball. Remember, it's Moore against Stinky McBride in the marking stakes. Here's Keith Galvin. So possession back with Tyrone. A tame enough opening to this match. Stephen Conway there in the background, a link with the team that won the Ulster Championship back in 1989. Fergal Logan once again. Back here it comes towards the raiding Ronan McGarrity. Remember the goal he set up against Galway in the semi-final for Peter Canavan. McLaughlin shot inside, oh, missed. John O'Leary has it, but nervous moments there. Paddy Moran has fumbled a couple of chances that should have been blocked easily. Jim Gavin belting it forward, picked up by Chris Lawn, however. Right across the field. Now Pascal Canavan. It's Jody Gormley who goes to ground, and the referee gives the decision his way. The foul by Paul Clark. And this is where Paddy Moore indicated a fair hint of nerves in there for the second time in this match, and John O'Leary had to be very, very sharp. Kieran Walsh to Keith Barr. Now Paul Curran. And this is one thing Tyrone will have to guard against, allowing Curran make forays out of defence and set up chances. Paul Clark now. Point from McCree already to his credit. Nicely forward to Mick Galvin. Can he make it 1 out of 2? Desi Farrell unable to take it down. Instead it's Seamus McCallum. He's settled down really well, McCallum. Some holding by Jody Gormley. And the referee wants the free taken from the correct position as play continue there, and Pat O'Neill making his point. Both managers indeed parading up and down the far sideline.
Yeah, I'm amazed with Dublin how they're kicking all these frees off the hand there. You know, when all those frees are on to be scored from the ground. Keith Barr's coming up now and he's having a go at it.
Well, they were slow to settle, as we know, against Cork, and then showed a maturity. Keith Barr across towards Desi Farrell. Desi against Faye Devlin. That's an awkward angle, but he makes very little of it. Des Farrell gets his first point, and Dublin take the lead for the first time.
That was a marvellous ball from Keith Barr into Desi Farrell, and Farrell is one of the best forwards in the game, I think, at the present time, and that was a marvellous score from Desi Farrell. Yeah, great ball in here, and Desi fetched it well, pretended to go right and then slammed it over with his left leg. Marvellous score.
Yes, tremendous accuracy. Back at midfield, it's Dublin beginning to take over. Paul Curran. Knocking it down the line towards Charlie Redmond. Charlie challenged by Paul Devlin. Charlie having the beating, however, of the corner back. Back to Paul Clark. And this time the angle proving just too much for him. Dublin with 5 wide so far, Tyrone without a wide. And just a point in it. McCrory Had a busy weekend, was at Shelburne Park watching the Dogs last night and enjoyed it, but the real concentration, of course, is on this afternoon's action. Finbar McConnell's kick out. Maybe that wind is a little stronger than we even think from up here. Normally he belts it right down the middle. Perhaps the tactic also, of course, is to take it out of that midfield area where Beelan and Steins are so assertive. Paul Beelan's kick, dropped in dangerously. Protest there from Sean McLaughlin that he was tumbled over. So Dublin making a lot of chances, missing quite a few as well.
I think Dublin should use Desi Farrell more and give him the ball quickly, because he's the one player that can kick it over from any angle.
Desi being marked by Seamus McCallan. Ball comes down here towards Kieran Corr. With a quiet opening to this match. Now Paul Clark. Lovely ball lobbed inside there. And across came Paul Devlin. Charlie Redmond trying to pick it up. Redmond advancing. Back it goes to Jason Sherlock. It's gone wide. Protest that it should perhaps be a 45. That was close. It was a wonderful ball through the centre initially to set it all up with Jason Sherlock and Charlie Redmond in there.
Yes, a great ball from Charlie Redmond here. But Sherlock, in fairness to him, he nearly got that one as well. Yeah, first time, and had a right go, and you know, with a little bit of luck, it could have gone into the corner of the net.
He takes a very high percentage of those chances in front of goal. Kieran Corr, that's a lovely fetch, but he's had to come to midfield to get more into the game, towards Peter Canavan. Brilliant in the opening minutes, but now we need to see a little bit more of him. He's looking for quality ball out of midfield. And Tyrone trying to win back that battle at midfield. They dominated the opening 5 minutes.
I think we could see Paddy Moore being switched on to Canavan soon. I don't think Kieran Walsh has got the pace to shadow this man.
Well, Tyrone have not scored now for 13 minutes. This to try and tie up the match at 4 points apiece. Peter Canavan's kick curls in delightfully once more. Teams level for the second time in this final. That's a 3rd point for Peter Canavan.
No doubt he's had an outstanding year for Tyrone. He has carried them right through Ulster, and he's brought them to the final. You know, if he keeps on playing the way he is today, he could take them and maybe take the Sam back to the north.
Well, he needs good ball inside, and also I think he needs a bit more support from Kieran McBride in particular. Keith Galvin. Players coming in support. McDeegan knocking it forward sufficiently as far as Paul Beelan. But look at the number of Tyrone players in there anxiously to close down space, and it's Pascal Canavan who takes it away, dragged down by Keith Barr, who made absolutely no effort whatsoever to get in a decent challenge. Tyrone coming strongly again with Stephen Lawn. Lawn on the ground, play continues. Keith Galvin to Paddy Moran. And again, it's Tyrone players outnumbering the lone doubler, who was Desi Farrell, 4-1. Fergal Logan. Jody Gormley inside towards Kieran McBride. Lets the ball run away from him. That's enough. And the Dubs come forward through Paul Curran. Desi Farrell once again. Farrell having a quick look up to see who's making the darting run forward. It's Charlie Redmond on towards Mick Galvin. There's 2 men in that inside forward line right now. To his right, he's got Jason Sherlock. Back here is Paul Curran. Once again, Charlie Redmond. Well, nobody in space there for him. Poor clearance there between goalkeeper and the full back. And Chris Lawn, I think, having a quick word with McConnell. Waste of possession, really.
Yes, it was a pretty hefty challenge all right there from the Tyrone back. Paul Clark is, or Desi Farrell, he could score this one all right there.
So Farrell kicking in, and kicking wonderfully over the bar. A 2nd point for Desi Farrell. Dublin lead by a point once again.
Yes, as I said earlier on, Desi is really on his game today, and I think Dublin should be trying to find him. And that was a marvellous score right from the sideline.
I think when Tyrone look back on that last piece of action, they'll wonder about the pass from McConnell to Chris Lawn that, of course, effectively resulted in that free. Brian Steins. Jody Gormley picked it up very low. Gormley forward nicely as far as Kieran Loughran. Loughran gets the free in. Referee has a quick word with Paul Clark. And referee Paddy Russell just explaining. The defender there was in the act of picking the ball up when the boot came in. So here's a chance once again for Peter Canavan.
I noticed Peter is starting to kick quite a number of the balls from the ground today. He kicked most of them from his hands in the semi-final.
That's true.
I think this is a very wise tactic.
And that's another wonderful kick. Side level yet again. 4 points for Peter Canavan. 5 points apiece. About 13 minutes to go to half-time. Well, those who thought it was inconceivable that Dublin would lose a third final in 4 years, I think quickly realised Tyrone have not just come here to be part of the drama. They mean business, and Dublin will get nothing lightly. That's nicely on, and Paul Clark, the player, pulled down by McCallum, and the referee calling back the centre half back. That high challenge there on Paul Clark. Notebook is out and name has been taken.
Yeah, it wasn't a very, I mean, in fairness, he tried to play the ball. It was more accidental than intentional, I would say.
Who was dismissed, of course, in the Ulster Championship match against Derry in the semi-final when Tyrone were at their very, very best. So it's Keith Barr who's going to kick this one. We've had a variety of free takers for Dublin, and this is drifting away left, well outside its target.
Yeah, it was a bit right in the post for Keith. He'd be better maybe on the left or centre.
So Dublin then with the slight wind advantage, as we keep on mentioning, in this first half. Great catch, nicely taken down by Paul Curran. Did well against Kieran Loughran. Loughran really hasn't got a smell of the action so far. Faye Devlin being challenged there by Mick Galvin. And the linesman looked across at the referee. Linesman Willie O'Mahony. Again, some slight confusion. In the end, it results in a Tyrone ball. Faye Devlin takes it quickly to Fergal Logan. Trying to skip away from the challenges here. Tyrone needing to be a bit tidier. Ronan McGarrett is the one who tidied up there. Now the other wing back, Sean McLaughlin. Brian Steins chasing back. Kieran Walsh gets there first, pushed out of his way by Jody Gormley. Still in play, comes back to Fergal Logan. Much steadier performance by Fergal Logan this afternoon. To be bundled off. This time the linesman is absolutely insistent. Dublin's decision.
Dublin not quite doing as well in the middle of the field today as they did against Cork. You know, there's a lot of broken ball around the middle there today.
It took a while, it seemed to be, in that Cork match to get on top there.
Yes, it took him 20 minutes, you're right.
Here's McGalvin. Galvin ran into the challenge from Ronan McGarrity. The referee says it was just McGarrity's momentum that carried him into that challenge. Now Kieran Corr, Tyrone's captain. Will he be taking Sam back once again to the north? Kieran Loughran dancing away from the challenges. Good tight control, but then he leaves it behind to Paul Curran. That was an excellent steal by Curran. Now Jim Gavin. Desi Farrell, good scoring chance. And he's put it over the bar. Dublin in front once again. So Desi Farrell here producing a third point in this match. It was nicely set up, Mick.
Yes, it was well set up, and Desi, as I said earlier on, he's deadly today.
3 chances, 3 points taken. It certainly is a seesaw battle, as they say. Dublin then with their noses just in front. Paul Beelan kicked into the inside forward line, and here's Jason Sherlock at a favourable touch that time. Still Sherlock, and he'll complete the race. He's in! It's Charlie Redmond who scored, injuring himself in the process. He'll make light of that. There was just a little misunderstanding in the Tyrone backline. Jason Sherlock in initially, and Charlie, who's had many disappointments in All-Ireland finals, he was in here. Watch Jason Sherlock just touch it forward under the falling body of McConnell, and in came Charlie, and he was not going to be stopped. Well, a bit like a rugby player racing for the line. Just saw the white of the line, in he came. As if his life depended upon it, he made it his. Well, that's now turned it very definitely in Dublin's favour. Once again, remember the semi-final. How that goal by Jason Sherlock was such a turning point. Here's Paul Clark. Knocked in. Caught by Fergal Logan, who's been so industrious in this match, popping up in all kinds of positions. Getting the support now of Sean McLaughlin. Next couple of minutes now will be very critical for Tyrone. Dublin will hoping to turn the screw if they can at all, but Tyrone need a rapid response. Pascal Canavan trying to win himself the free, succeeding. Takes it quickly down towards Kieran McBride, and in towards McCamera's. Appeals all around, but it's going to be Dublin's ball.
We could see a change very quickly here. This fellow Loughran, who's taken Paul Curran, is having a dreadful game, and Paul Curran is absolutely dominating here at half-back, and he's going forward all the time.
Well, this is where that last piece of action resulted in our cameraman, Paul Daniel, very nearly ending up the wrong side of that. Here's McCallan once again. Tyrone stung by that Charlie Redmond goal. McCallan looks in a little bit of distress. Well, it is that unmistakable figure of Matt McGleenan who's being prepared on the far side. Mick Deegan has had the name taken. But as Mick O'Dwyer was mentioning, Kieran Loughran, of course, the obvious player to come in at wing forward there would have been Adrian Cush. Here's Jody Gormley. Back out towards Stephen Lawn. That's heading towards Hill 16, to the jeers of the Dublin fans. It's Dublin still leading by 4 points.
Yeah, Tyrone would need to take all of those chances when they get them, and they're not quite moving as well as they were earlier on. But as I said, Paul Curran is having an outstanding game at right half-back.
And it seems like just a matter of moments before Art McCrory will make the change. Jody Gormley fists it down to midfield. Took Stephen Lawn on a roving commission once again. They leave just two inside forwards there, McBride and Canavan. Kieran Corr. Well, it's a very poor quality ball inside towards Peter Canavan, who really needs the ball low and in front of him if at all possible.
Lawn has been switched there with Loughran, I think. He's come out to wing forward.
And Matt McGleenan is preparing to come on. His play continues, not on just yet, holding that precious little slip of paper. Peter Canavan breaks it down, but only to himself. He's lacking support up there. Paul Curran, outstanding so far. Here's Keith Galvin. And Jason Sherlock, who had a huge part to play in the Dublin goal. Sherlock showing great maturity in just his 5th championship match. Here's Jim Gavin from Round Towers, on towards Jason once again, couldn't contain it. It's McCallan instead for Tyrone. Locating Ronan McGarity. They were an inexperienced half-back line at the start of this championship, but they've gained in maturity as the seasons progress. Paddy Moran guilty of the push there on Dinky McBride. And now the change can be made for Tyrone. Matt McGleenan is coming in towards the referee, Paddy Russell. And the player going up, Kieran Loughran. So in the reshuffle, from what we can gather so far, Stephen Lawn has come to left half forward, and It will be Matt who will be moving inside, Matt McGleenan. Having a distinct height advantage there on Keith Galvin. Peter Canavan to kick. 4 minutes to go to half-time. And almost inexplicably, he's missed it. Just his first miss.
Yeah, but the game is going away from Tyrone at this minute, and you know players are under pressure now, and that was one, of course, that Tyrone needed. But I mean, of course, most players anyway will miss the outfield.
It was a gamble on their part, of course, to have left McGleenan off in the first place.
And how they let McGleenan and Cush off in the first place, I can understand it, because Cush is nervous.
Well, I think he may just have that injury. Perhaps there's 10 minutes in him, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. The second half will tell that, no doubt. Paul Curran setting up another attack with Paul Clark roaming all over the field. Back to Curran once again. Kieran Corr in vain pursuit. But here's Curran. He's a marvellous footballer. Embellishing a wonderful performance in this final with his first point. And Dublin now lead by double scores. 3 minutes to go to the break.
Yes, Paul Clark is having an exceptional game here. He ran on to this one and he was straight through. From the moment he got it, he had his mind made up that he was going to get a score, and he banged it over from about 40 yards. A great score.
Paul Curran at his very best there. In midfield, it's taken by Paul Beelin. They've all got a massive lift by that goal. They took a while to settle the Dubs, but settled they certainly have. That's Stephen Lawn. Well, back there he's causing Dublin very few problems from a scoring point of view. Here's Paul Clark. And that deep ball producing nothing. McConnell restarting. Again, it's Fergal Logan running tirelessly all over the park. Leland trying to close him down. Pascal Canavan to Matt McGleenan. First chance of getting in the action, fouled.
Tyrone are taking too much out of the ball. That'd be more advisable for them to let it go first time.
Some more direct tactics perhaps will pay off. Here's Kieran McBride. McBride making that incision there, producing the foul, producing the free kick. And that's exactly what they need, players who can take possession and run at the Dublin backs. Here's Peter Canavan. A vital kick, this one, to keep them well in touch, heading close to the break. 5 points for Canavan, all of them from frees. 4 points the margin.
Yeah, the wind has died down a little bit now, George. You just watched the flag at the railway in there, and I think the wind has died a little bit.
And our friend, of course, is still up there next to the national flag. There he is, dangerous position, and into the bargain he was smoking as well. Here's Kieran Corr. In towards Peter Canavan, back it comes in towards Jody Gormley. Now Stephen Lawn. Advancing with some purpose, but running into a cul-de-sac. Kieran Walsh. Dublin seem to have more space in the Tyrone half of the field. Here's Jason Sherlock, outside of the boot, good ball. McCallum does well against Desi Farrell. Farrell picks it up the second time. Chance of a score here. Falling perhaps to Jim Gavin. And Gavin knocks it over the bar with great confidence. There's a greater purpose in this Dublin attack right now.
Yeah, this was a great score again. Desi Farrell contested it and won it well and laid it back. And a great score, well taken. But then again, earlier on, it was Jason Sherlock that started that move.
Dublin creating far more chances in this first half. 17 against 9 for Tyrone. But now Tyrone needing perhaps a late score in the end of this first half. Dinky McBride beaten by Mick Deegan, not standing on ceremony, knocking it away. Obviously touched a Tyrone player. That's Kieran McBride. Playing in just his third championship match. Here it is again. And he fell down onto that ball. That's the final whistle of the first half. Dublin took their time to settle. Tyrone made by far the better start and were 3 points up before Dublin got going. But then that critical goal towards the end of the first half, credited to Charlie Redmond, and that certainly set Dublin on their way. And they go in at half-time, leading by 5 points. Dublin finally to deliver. It's Dublin 1-8, Tyrone 6 points.
He is the Tyrone chairman, Declan O'Neill. Declan, obviously you'll be disappointed to be behind, but what about the game as it went so far from your point of view?
Well, we're very disappointed with the goal, Tony. The goal was a bit of a slip-up, you know, but we tend to lose possession there when we have good possession, but we're not concerned at this stage. You know, our tactic was to try and stay with Dublin at this stage, and hopefully, you know, the second half we'll finish the better team, but we're still very, very hopeful that we get back into the game. And 5 points down, but it's not the end of the world. We're still there, and we're going to come out firing on all cylinders this half.
McLean came in already for you. Would Cush have been an option if he was fully fit?
He probably would have been, yeah, but at this stage, the idea was to use Matty first. But Cush is still there, and there's still plenty of good talent in there on the bench.
And you're still thinking of using Adrian Cush?
We would still be thinking about it, yeah. Very seriously thinking about it.
OK, Declan, thank you.
Not at all, Tony, not at all.
Yes, fighting words from the Tyrone point of view, but my goodness, it's certainly not looking too good from them from a neutral point of view, one has to say. The club's very much on course for that All-Ireland title. We'll talk about what we've seen in the first half after this commercial break. Tyrone on a scoreline of 1-8 to 6 points, the Arcane Boys band, and Finbar Wright entertaining the crowd here on what is a lovely summer's day at Croke Park. Well, been tough stuff in that first half, regardless of whether you're on the first 15 of the Dublin team, the Tyrone team, or indeed on the RTE team as well. Yes, as I said, dangerous place to be in Croke Park on this particular Sunday afternoon. Let me go to my panel again. We have, of course, still with us Morty McHugh and Sean Boylan with us. Morty, your thoughts on that first half?
I think it was Tyrone started very well, but they've shown a lot of nerves. They lose a lot of possession, and they're not getting the ball into Peter Canavan, and they're overplaying the ball. I think Dublin are actually, from the first 10 minutes on when they settled down, are actually punting better in packs, and they're leaving more space for Jason Sherlock, and I think Jason Sherlock is actually playing very well today. From a Tyrone point of view, they're going to have to try to get more ball into Peter Canavan. They have none of the forwards have scored from play. Peter has got 5 points from frees, and Jody Gormley and Matt Peter got a point. So they're going to need more than that to win in All-Ireland. I think that they'll need the first 10 minutes, second half again is going to be important to them. But I think what they're doing is they're going to have to stop losing possession of the ball. That's the most important thing from a Tyrone point of view. Dublin will be happy enough. It's interesting to see that Charlie Redmond's not taking the long free kick, so he must be carried into him, and they made a decision that Paul Clark and Keith Farrell picked them.
Mentioning losing possession of the ball, we have an example of that kind of thing. Now, the scores were level when this particular incident happened, Martin, and then in a few minutes everything changed for Tyrone. Let's take a look at this, because they won possession of this ball.
Yeah, they had possession of the ball. I'm a firm believer that a game can turn on a simple point. They had a possession ball, Kieran Loughlin had the ball here. And the sides are level, 5 points each at this stage. Good tackle by Paul Curran, but these forwards shouldn't lose the ball like that. And right away the back line has been pulled out because they expect they have possession of the ball. Goes to Desi Farrell, who's having a good match and takes a good point with his left foot. The goal comes immediately afterwards. The game turned on that. From Tyrone could have had a point at the other end and be ahead. Instead the ball went down the field, and that was really very important at a very important stage for Tyrone.
I have to say, Sean, from a neutral point of view, if anybody needed the goal in the first half, it was Tyrone. But the Dubs manufactured it very, very well.
It is, yeah. They played brilliantly, and I'll tell you, the use of, you know, they've had 6 different players scored. They've been moving very well. Desi Farley's opened up the middle. Himself and Jason they're putting railroads through the Tyrone defence, and the rest of the Dublin forwards are capitalising on it.
All right, I think we have that goal. Yes, here it is. Let's have a look at this now, Sean.
Yeah. Come along. Jason chases after it, goes after it. I thought Finbar could have spread himself a little better, and who comes along with Charlie to bury in the back of the net. But again, it was Jason chasing a ball that he might have gone for. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference. We saw a similar situation later on with Paul Curran, who put a ball over the bar. Kieran Carr was chasing him, and he stopped chasing him. Yeah. And you've got to chase for everything. And if you stop for 1 minute, you're going to be gone.
Okay, well, it's been tough on Tyrone, I suppose, the first half. Dublin doing everything that you would expect of them if they're going to be All-Ireland champions. Briefly, before we go back again to our commentary, Sean, from what you've seen after the 35 minutes, how do you read it now?
The way I read it at this point now, Tyrone are going to have to do an awful lot to get back into this game, because Dublin are just they're right on top of them. The defenders, as I said before the match, the disability to stop the others creating and stop them playing, and they're doing it well. They're getting the breaking balls in the middle of the field, and they're dictating the thing from start to finish. Now Tyrone, there's a lot of fellas out there in that Tyrone team. They've got to start taking on the mantle. You know what I mean? The L players have got to go. They've got to go for it at this stage, and if they don't, Dublin just wipe them aside.
I'd say in the Tyrone dressing room at half-time, Moishe, there were some hard words from Mark McCrory and Eugene McKenna, because they have work to do here, let's be honest.
Well, I think that they have a lot of work to do. They realise that a lot of players, as Seamus just said, are not playing well in the Tyrone team. Matty McGlennon is definitely the introduction of Matty McGlennon. He's smart Keith Cameron. I think that they might try to get high ball into that area where he might get a flick goal, which he's good at. But Tyrone is going to up their performance. But a fair play to Dublin. Dublin are playing well. They're doing enough. The same thing in the Cork game. It took them a while to settle. But I think Dublin in the dressing room will think back to the Derry game a couple of years ago when they went in well ahead of Derry as well, and Derry came out and won the match. So it's making for an interesting second half. But Tyrone is going to have to up their performance immensely.
OK, gentlemen, thank you very much for your half-time thoughts. Now, just before we hand back to Gerard Canning for second half commentary, let's first go over to Marty Morrissey.
And the news from the dressing rooms are that one change in the Tyrone team. Brian Gormley is going to be coming into the side and Stephen Lawn is going to be going off. And from the Dublin dressing room, there are no changes on the Dublin side.
I think that's also very significant, because I think Brian Gormley might be third in the pecking order behind Adrian Cush. But it's just one change then in that Tyrone team at the start of the half, and Mick O'Dwyer, they really have it all to do, and they've got to do something. If they put quality ball into the inside forward line for Tyrone, they can really cause problems to Dublin's full back line.
Yeah, the Dublin full back line is not playing well today, and definitely if they can get the ball into Peter Canavan, he's the one player I think that could swing this game their way. But at this stage I just can't see Tyrone coming back into it. Dublin are playing with superb confidence. The forward line are playing exceptionally well, and I think Dublin will go on and win, maybe win by more than 4 or 5 points, as I said earlier on.
Well, suitably fortified by Joe Rock's cup of tea down there in the dressing room area. The Rock family have long associations with Croke Park, and of course Joe is an uncle of Barney Rock. There's Joe on the left-hand side, the man who looks after us so well here. Bobby Doyle coming out, the backroom team who've laboured hard in the cause of Dublin football. John Bailey there, the county chairman, and they've suffered so many heartbreaking defeats in recent years. Pat O'Neill on the left-hand side alongside Fran Ryder and John Costello. And you think that since the end of the Kevin Heffernan era, good men like Jerry McCall and Paddy Cullen and indeed Pat himself have got together very good teams, but struggled to win that elusive All-Ireland crown. But is Sam now on his way back to Dublin after a gap of 12 years? And Charlie there, I think, playing the other figure to young Jason Sherlock and encouraging him. Paul Beelan in the background as well.
As I said earlier on up in Navan, when Jason Sherlock came on the scene, he was the one player that would have made a difference to Dublin, and he has done that.
So Finbar McConnell and Kieran Core and the rest coming back out onto Croke Park. Just the one change then. Eugene McKenna, the joint manager with Art McRory. Pat McCartan there, one of the backroom officials as well. So here's confirmation of the substitution then. Brian Gormley coming in. So 35 minutes then in which to resolve this final. And it'll be Dublin now playing down towards Hill 16. Second half gets underway. Brian Stein straight away into the action. Again, a high challenge there. Stein's on the ground momentarily. And let's hope it is just momentarily. Certainly hit with a crack there as he came out. That's Brian Gormley challenging him. Down he went. Pascal Canavan was in there as well. It was Pascal Canavan who caught him. Steins is okay. Keith Barr takes the free kick towards Desi Farrell, shouldered by Ronan McGarrity. Peels all around. It's going to be a Tyrone ball. Brian Gormley opting to leave it behind there. Seamus McCallan left-footed forward. towards Matt McGleenan. Can big Matty make a difference? Fergal Logan. Tyrone needs scores early in this half. That's in towards Kieran McBride. Tried to scamper away from Paddy Moran. And Moran has been having a very turgid afternoon so far.
As I said there just before half-time, the Dublin full back line are not playing well today, and if they can get the ball in quickly, and you know, Tyrone could come back. They have the aid of the breeze at this present time.
But they certainly need a bigger spread of scores as well. 5 points so far for Peter Canavan, and just 1 point from play, and that from Jody Gormley. So here's perhaps the start of the comeback. Needs to be on target, and is. 6 points for Peter Canavan from Eric O'Keefe. Taking the acclaim of the Tyrone fans. 4 points between the teams. Well, Dublin, as we'll recall, made a very sleepy start to the first half. And they can't now afford to allow an energised Tyrone team to creep back into them. Well taken by Paul Beelan. Good distribution back down there as far as Paul Curran. Stolen here by Brian Gormley. One of the stars of some great under-21 teams at the start of this decade. Kieran Corr knocks it in. Nicely inside for Peter Canavan. Again Kieran Corr taking up the momentum of the attack. Back to Canavan once again. Another good-looking kick, and it sails between the posts and it's over the bar. And there are just 3 points and a solitary goal separating these sides. He really is an outstanding footballer.
No doubt McCrory must have got to the Tyrone team inside. Yes, this was a marvellous score from Peter Canavan. He created it first, and then he got it back and banged it straight over the bar. This man is an exceptional player, and if they get more of the ball into him, and they're doing it now in the second half, they're playing the ball in good and low, and that's going to help Tyrone.
So now what's going to happen? Paul Beelan touches it down towards Paul Clark. Deftly back. Paul Curran winning the free kick. Pat O'Neill roars out the instruction towards Jim Gavin, I think. Desi Farrell trying to get away from Seamus McCallan. Still annoying the centre half back. Right on the end line. Towards McGalvin, comes to Jason Sherlock instead. Nice sidestep. Great block down there by Fergal Logan. A wonderful intervention by the midfielder, is back there augmenting his back line. Free out to Tyrone.
It'll be more advisable for Jason to take his points, but I think he's over-obsessed with the idea of getting goals. But he had a go that time, but he should have taken his point.
They Devlin down there attending to Fergal Logan. This is Jason scampering away from the challenges. That was a wonderful block by the Tyrone number 8. I think Jason was looking for the whites of Finbar McConnell's eyes and dreaming about some further glory. It would of course have been his 3rd goal in the championship.
Well, he played a big part in the goal that Dublin got here again today, Joe. You know, he kept after that ball, and that was a great goal, and that was the goal that changed the game.
The physio down there is Bob Glanville. The referee has been speaking to Finbar McConnell, and indeed done more than that, is taking his name. I think there was a fist into Jason Sherlock, hence the booking. 3 names taken so far in this final, 2 for Tyrone, 1 for Dublin. This was Jason once more. And what happened immediately after this is the interesting point. We perhaps don't see it there, but the umpire and referee certainly did. Bob Glanville, the physio there, attending to Fergal Logan. Now remember, Tyrone have already used up 2 of their substitutes. Still a degree of concern about that leg.
Somehow, Ger, I think he's going to recover.
When you're playing in an All-Ireland final, I think you recover and discover wonderful healing qualities. Nobody wants to go off. It's a wonderful platform on which to display your talents and your skills. If you're a senior football, you dream about coming here. So McConnell then belting that out to Matt McGlean, and a wonderful catch by McGlean. Players peeling right and left of him. Stopped there by Paul Beelan, but not a fair shoulder to shoulder into the chest, Paddy Russell explains.
Hard to understand how anybody can leave the likes of McGlean and then cush off any team, you know. It was a marvellous fetch there.
Well, when does a gamble become a tactic, or a tactic become a gamble?
Tactics and tactics there, don't you already?
Here's Peter Canavan. And that's gone over. The gap is down to 2 points. It's very manageable. Peter Canavan's 8 points. A terrific contribution, 8 out of 9 points.
The very same thing happened Dublin in the semi-final. They dominated the game for long stages and they left Cork back into it. If you remember, Kavanagh went through and he nearly scored a goal in the finish. And Dublin have stopped playing at the moment.
I tell you, this performance by Canavan is a Frank McGuigan-like performance if he gets quality ball. Good fetch by Beelan. He's working very hard out of midfield. Ambitiously kicking it ahead. Nobody there except Sean McLaughlin. Now Chris Law. That's a free. Sean McLaughlin pushed to the back. Peace restored. Play to continue. Faye Devlin, the taker of the free kick. I'm sure he'll have some nightmares when he watches the video again of that Dublin goal after 26 minutes of the first half. Mick Deegan, nicely down to Jason Sherlock. A lovely transfer into the arms of Paul Clark. Clark hitting it high, 20 metres out from the Tyrone goal. Desi Farrell foraging. Good work rate by Farrell. That's a great point. A 4th point of the match by Desi Farrell. Jason Sherlock involved in the distribution. A good angle kick by Paul Clark. But wonderful finishing by this man here.
Yeah, Paul, he's having an exceptional game today, Farrell. He's deadly active, of course, and if he gets the ball into his hands, he rarely misses.
And he's prepared to work hard as well. 4 chances for Desi, 4 points. Back here is Keith Galvin, looks a little nervous. That's McGlean in trying to brush aside Brian Steins, but fouling him. Steins was going down to pick that ball up when McGlean came in.
Keith Galvin is having a very, very shaky game there in the corner.
There are a number of nervous players in that Dublin full back line, which Tyrone will certainly hope to exploit. Just a goal in it. Keith Barr, great tension about still. Pressure on the Dubs to end their losing sequence in the final. Pressure on Tyrone to maintain the sequence of Ulster wins. Here's Brian Gormley. Tyrone looking for their first ever All-Ireland title. That's McGlean taking it down to Jody Gormley. Paddy Moran out first time for the ball. Canavan allowing him. But Canavan was being double challenged that time, and Moran got out ahead of him. Here's Paul Curran. It's a tight situation. Jason Sherlock is pushed. Dublin get the free kick. Dublin with 18 frees so far awarded to them. And Pat O'Neill in there with some words for his players. This is what happened once again when we watch Charlie Redmond go in there with Fergal Logan, exchanging some daily pleasantries. And the referee, what is he doing? He's sending him off, I think. Charlie Redmond's been sent off. The goal scorer earlier on in the game for that headbutt there on Fergal Logan. Dublin are down to 14 men. I think that's what the referees decided. Charlie collided there initially with Fergal Logan, then an attempted headbutt.
Yes, but Charlie had got the free at that stage, and there was no need whatsoever.
Well, he's not sent him off, has he? Charlie's still on the park.
Very lucky to remain on the park, I can tell you there, Joe. Very, very lucky.
Well, he's had the name taken. Well, he's had so much misfortune in All-Ireland finals, it would have been a dreadful way for him to finish up this match. So correction then, both sides at full stretch still. 15 against 15. Pascal Canavan now. Low ball inside towards his brother Peter. Here's Keith Barr. Barr spreading the play neatly ahead to Mick Deegan. Deegan picking up Charlie Redmond, very definitely part of the action. Towards Desi Farrell. Going back there is Chris Lawn for Tyrone. He's tripped. In comes Paul Clark. It really is hotting up now quite considerably. We have some news on the sideline from Tony O'Donoghue. Tony.
Of the Tyrone team, he tells me that Paul Donnelly is ready to come into the play. Fergal Logan has a very bad ankle injury. He was out to see him, of course. He strapped it earlier this morning, and Fergal Logan has been given 5 minutes. We'll see if it works.
So that would be the final substitution as Paul Clark has his name taken. This is where we watch Chris Lawn go down on the trip from Desi Farrell. That's where Paul Clark came in and the booking resulted. Well, there was a potential nightmare a few minutes there for Dublin and for Charlie Redmond in particular. The referee.
Yes, the referee would want to get hold of this game now because it's getting slightly out of hand. There's so much at stake here, you know, for Dublin today, and they're going to really go at it now from here in.
Having a chat with Willie O'Mahony, who's also the standby referee. He's gone back to talk to Charlie Redmond again. Did he in fact send him off a few minutes ago, and Charlie continued? This is very confusing. I've never seen anything like this in an All-Ireland final. I think he has sent him off. So Dublin are indeed down to 14 players.
I'm telling you now, Tyrone, this will put it up to Dublin now. When they soften the team, you know, often play better when they are down to 14 men.
Well, you know what happened in '83.
It's a big misfortune, of course, for Charlie, because Charlie has contributed so much to Dublin football over the years.
Oh, it's a dreadful way for Charlie to finish this particular match. But Tyrone now have the chance. 3 points behind. Paul Devlin kicks it into Peter Canavan. Lovely turn by Canavan. And the tight control not quite tight enough. Back there's Paul Beelan. What a match he's playing. Here's Jim Gavin. So now it's up to the 14 men of Dublin to roll up the sleeves. Kieran Corr. In '83, it finished 12 against 14. Good ball inside there. Kieran Walsh goes down. John O'Leary making the save. Well, I have to say, Mick O'Dwyer, I can never recall an incident like that where a player stayed on for about 3 minutes after he was effectively sent off.
Yeah, I thought he had put him off all right over, but then he had a chat with the referee and he remained on, so I can't understand it. Something I never saw happen before.
Pat Gilroy is about to come in, but not just yet. Referee hasn't had the little slip of paper. Fergal Logan drops it in. Now Paddy Moran. Perhaps that inside back line of Dublin, their full back line, will now realise the crisis in which their team is suddenly placed.
As a matter of fact, Dublin are at 6s and 7s at the moment. If you just look at the other end of the field, there's only 4 players from the halfway line in the Tyrone side at the present time.
Only 15 minutes gone in the second half.
But of course, Dublin have won games with 14 men before. I didn't tell you that. So this is going to be a real test of their character today. But I mean, when you get a free like that Charlie had got on that occasion, there was no point for any retaliation. That's the reason why he was sent off more than anything, I would say.
Real crisis now for Pat O'Neill. Keith Galvin has been substituted.
Yes, Keith was having a bit of a nightmare there in the corner, and I said that earlier on.
So Gilroy is on. It's Brian Steins who's gone back into the Dublin full back line to mark Matt McGleenan. Paddy Moran continues on Kieran McBride. Gilroy's into midfield on Jody Gormley. Meanwhile, here's Desi Farrell. Can he be the match winner this afternoon for Dublin? Straight at the goalkeeper, Finbar McConnell. Now Ronan McGarity. Quick look up. Pumped into midfield. Paul Curran misjudges the flight of the ball. Phelan back in there. It's Phelan and Gilroy now at midfield, and the calling of Paul Phelan. Brian Steins and the referee now going across to Matt McGleenan. What's going to happen here?
This was a very late tackle by Matt McGleenan. He'll be lucky to remain on the pitch here. You can see, as you can see this here, look, the ball was played when McGleenan hit him.
And that's Brian Steins pulled down by Brian Gormley. Steins now on the full back line, as we say. And the referee, I think, content with just the name taking. Tyrone have 15 players, Dublin 14. Dublin lead by 3 points. Dublin's Dr. Pat Duggan in there. And the loose man in the Tyrone team, the extra player, is Paul Devlin, their number 2. So how will they use the extra player, Art and Eugene?
Well, I noticed they're keeping him back in the fence at the moment. That'd be better if they play him in and around the middle of the pitch, I would say, Ger.
Keith Barr with the free kick. Paul Clark breaks it down towards Pat Gilroy. Now Desi Farrell trying to skip by Seamus McCallum. Not an easy thing to do. Clark plays it back to Gilroy once again, taken down by the Tyrone captain Kieran Corr. Lots and lots of free kicks. It hasn't been a free-flowing game, but it's been particularly intense.
Well, I suppose Charlie wouldn't have been kicking, he didn't seem to be kicking the longer piece today, so he must have been troubled by that leg, but Paul kicked a very good one earlier on, and this one from the left-hand side here, he should be able to put this one over.
Just strikes me that Paddy Russell was in charge in 1990 when he also sent the player off. He's done it again in 1995. So Paul Clark shaping up to this one. 40 metres out, that's going away right. Can they keep it in play? They can. But broken down only as far as Faye Devlin. Jason Sherlock. Back to Mick Galvin, hasn't scored so far. It's Gilroy. Back to Paul Curran. All a bit tight, all a bit uncertain and unclear. Here's Jody Gormley, profiting by that pass from Pascal Canavan. Tyrone hunting in packs. Steins belting it forward to Desi Farrell, the one player who gives them direction in the forward line. Knocked in towards Jason Sherlock, but Jason couldn't hold it. Dublin's first wide of the second half, they're 9th in all there.
There is a very, very strong breeze blowing, Ger, from that end, and you know it's not too easy. And Desi went onto his left leg to kick that one that time. I think maybe he'd have been better plied by turning to the right and tapping it over.
But he's the one forward there today who certainly is causing problems to Tyrone in terms of he's the man who can get the scores.
Yes, he is the one player, and he's really accurate, and he's the player they should be trying to find more often than any other.
So everybody else has got his autograph, so here comes the referee. No chance of a kiss here, I think, ref. So yet another name has been taken.
You'd wonder what it was taken for, though, Ger, wouldn't you?
Well, we haven't had a score now for 12 minutes. Nicely broken down by Paul Beelan. Paul Curran on towards Jason Sherlock. Knocked over by Chris Lawn. Free to Dublin.
Dublin are pulling all their players out around the half-hour line and out around the centre of the field at the moment. There's about 6 Tyrone players in the inside there, and there's very, very few Dublin players in. Dublin have gone back quite a lot in defence. They did the very, very same thing against Cork.
So the turn of Paul Clark once again, a point from a free so far, urged on. And that's gone just to the right. It was a difficult enough kick. It would have been a difficult enough kick for Charlie as well, I can tell you. But still 3 points between the teams. Paul Devlin knocked forward towards Matt McGleenan. There are times in the last 5 minutes when it seems to me that Dublin have the extra man. Phelan. Cut out here by McLaughlin. Fed forward by McCallum. They're rushing it a bit. Paul Donnelly there alongside Eugene McKenna. Paul Curran, 13 minutes left. Touchdown by Seamus McCallum. Follows it on himself. Now the loose player we were telling you about, who is Paul Devlin. He's the extra man. Ooh, hops a high one there from Paul Phelan. He's become quite indisciplined during the second half in particular.
Yes, it has become very physical at this stage.
Jason Sherlock initially putting in the challenge, and then it was Phelan.
I think Paul Devlin used the hand himself before he was hit.
That's the face there of Seamus McCallum. It may be cramp. Play continues. Paul Curran, tidy and economical in everything he does. Desi Farrell, a real lone predator up there. He can cause so many problems. Mick Galvin now had such a great semi-final. Good ball in. McConnell fisting it out as far as Ronan McGarity. A dangerous moment. And again, the player pulled down there is Sean McLaughlin. Kieran Corr now for Tyrone, who trail by 3 points. Paddy Moran drops it into the arms of Matt McGleenan. Matt Bry just a little bit too far ahead of him. Still the momentum of the attack maintained with Pascal Canavan. Now Fergal Logan. Peter Canavan. 8 points so far for his side. Fergal Logan now trying to kick this one. Made a hash of it, however. Expecting the challenge to come in, and in it came from Kieran Walsh. And now Paul Phelan. Paul Curran. Phelan and Curran have certainly run themselves into the ground for Dublin this afternoon. We've got some further news, I believe.
Yes, the Tyrone midfielder we thought was coming off for Logan is going to stay on the field. Jody Gormley will be coming off, and Paul Donnelly will finally make his entrance into this All-Ireland final.
And here he comes. Thank you, Tony. In fact, it's Seamus McCallum who's going off because there was an injury there, and I think they may have changed their minds very quickly about that last substitution. McCallum goes, and Jody Gormley is still very much on the field. Meanwhile, Dublin also taking the chances of warming up one of their substitutes.
So Tyrone have now used up their 3 subs at this stage. So we won't see Adrian Cush coming on the pitch today.
I had a lingering doubt all along that he simply wouldn't make it, and it's a great, great pity. Keith Barr with a free kick. Nicely fetched in the air there by Faye Devlin. Back to McLaughlin. And that's going to be a free in.
It's unbelievable how Tyrone are giving away possession, and they have an extra man on the pitch. That's the second occasion they punched the ball out over the sideline.
Well, I think he threw the ball up to himself and then started fisting it away. So effectively fouling the ball there. So free from a eminently kickable position here for Paul Clark.
This is a very, very vital free now, this one, and if Paul puts this one over, I think Dublin will go on and win, but if he misses it, it will put a lot of pressure on them.
Dublin, by the way, have brought on Robbie Boyle, the sub we saw there warming up, and Mick Galvin is the player he's replaced. So sure. Big championship occasion for the Erin's Isle man as we watch this kick come off the post. And who responds quickly? It's the free man, Paul Devlin, free momentarily. So how will the last 9 minutes of this game pan out? Dublin chasing as if their lives depended upon it. Not wanting to be recognised as a team of losers that loses vital matches, All-Ireland finals and semi-finals. And Tyrone having the extra man, extra effort called for. Move forward, I think, is what Pat O'Neill is saying. Matt McGleenan against Brian Steins. Steins back in defence now. McGleenan kicking, will it curl inside the right-hand post? Not sufficiently. Just Tyrone's first wide of the second half, a telling statistic in its own way. So just the Charlie Redmond goal dividing the teams.
Paul Clark had 3 frees there to put Dublin way out in front, and he missed the 3 of them, so Charlie has been a bit of a loss from that point.
Well, in terms of quality, it's left an awful lot to be desired, but the issue very much still in doubt. Jody Gormley going down to pick that ball up. In came the boot of Paul Beelan. Quickly taken to Kieran Corr. Fisted forward to Kieran McBride. Quick look at the post, trying to go around Paul Clark. Got to take too much out of it, really. Tyrone, you feel, should be letting the ball in quickly. Paul Devlin foraging. This is Pascal Canavan. And it's gone to the right. Is it to be their day?
Yeah, but Dublin, in fairness, are hunting in packs at the moment, and they're putting a lot of pressure on the player in possession. You saw there where there was a great block down by a Dublin back, and Tyrone aren't getting any time on the ball at all, so that's a good point. That's a very, very good thing for Dublin.
Well, the last score in this game was in the 9th minute of the second half, and poor old Charlie not able to take any further part. Sent off during the second half in somewhat bizarre circumstances. Free kick to Dublin. Very, very high work rate, as Nick O'Dwyer was saying.
Yeah, but the game has become very, very ragged during the last 15 minutes. It's become over physical, and it's not. There isn't any good football in it.
Well, it won't be remembered for an awful lot of good football, as you suggest, but if Dublin finally end the barren spell of 12 years, they'll not worry too much about that, I think. Keith Barr to take the free kick on his own 65-metre line. Dropped in deep towards Paul Clark. Back there foraging is Ronan McGarity. Now Faye Devlin popping up at right half-back. Taking it away there from a number of Dublin players, but in the end it is Jim Gavin who gets in there. The pilot with the air corps flying through there to win a free kick.
I think it would be very, very advisable for Dessie Farrell to kick that from his hand there. You know, they're not having any look from the ball from the ground here, so but Clark is still having another go.
It'll be Paul Clark to hit it. He's just 1 from 4, 1 point out of 4 attempts so far. Certainly Charlie Redmond is a big loss where free taking is concerned. But Dublin's grit and determination over the next 5 minutes may see them win their 22nd championship. Is Sam on its way back to the Liffey? Clark curls this one, but not curling it sufficiently. It's still there for the taking.
So go back over the All-Irelands, you'll find that all teams that won, they always had a good place kicker, and Dublin were failing in that aspect today.
Dublin have only scored 1 point during the second half. Tyrone have only scored 3. But Dublin hanging on for dear life. Here's Dessie Farrell. Good ball forward towards Jason Sherlock, and he get a touch here. Out comes McConnell. Strong, resourceful goalkeeper. Now there's no time to delay. Paul Donnelly. Well, they need that ball knocked in well. Kieran Corr holding on somehow. Still Kieran Corr. Dublin back there in huge numbers. They brought back 12 players behind the ball. Free in. So So Peter Canavan opting to kick this one from the hands as Kieran Corr carries out running repairs. There's 2 points between the teams. Canavan has scored 9 points. 8 out of 9 from frees. He just missed one. 2 points the margin. It'll be a very, very edgy and nervous last 4 minutes. Vinnie Murphy may be ready to come on.
That's the difference, actually. Canavan, every time he gets a chance from a place ball, he puts it over, whereas Dublin has missed them all.
Tyrone now surely will be thinking about a goal. They can manage somehow to get in there and steal this crown. Robbie Boyle. Boyle scampering away from Faye Devlin. It's Fergal Logan who got back goal side. Boyle once again, strong figure. Little Brian Gormley takes it. Gormley for Tyrone, challenged by Desi Farrell. Oh, that's a high challenge there, but not a particularly dangerous one on Paul Devlin. One back again. Here's Keith Barr, the 14 men of Dublin, leading by 2 points. Paul Clark, here's an important kick. And it's over the bar! Paul Clark gets just Dublin's second point of the second half. Dublin have a 3-point lead. I make it about 2.5 minutes left, not including injury time. Tyrone have been frustrated time and again. Here's Fergal Logan, holding it up once again, slowing it somewhat, then releasing it into McBride. It comes to Kieran Corr. There's a man ahead of him. It's nicely fallen there, and the referee says free in. That was a great run forward there by Paul Donnelly. Pat O'Neill out on the edge of the field, sun in his eyes. It'll be back to a 2-point difference again if this goes over. That's Paul Donnelly in a very advanced position, close to being inside that rectangle. So a conventional 13 metres free. Canavan inevitably to hit it. If it goes over, it's his 10th point. Just instructing Brian Gormley to move back. Lazily struck and over the bar. 10 points for Canavan, 1 from play, 9 from frees. The gap, just 2 points. A minute, 25 seconds still to go.
Yes, and I would say there will be a little bit of extra time as well, Ger. The one man now, if they can get the ball to Canavan, he's the one man that could pull off a victory here. You know, he could quite easily get a goal if he got the ball in quickly.
One slip, one twist, one miss. That's all it takes. Possession now, crucial here. Jody Gormley takes it down to himself. Brian Steins must judge this well. He does so. Paul Curran. Lobbed into the half-forward line. One back there by Ronan McGarrity. McGarrity takes it back from Sean McLaughlin. Now Kieran Corr pushes it ahead confidently to Pascal Canavan. Back to Jody Gormley. Tyrone building up a head of steam here. Brian Gormley running into a phalanx of Dublin players. Comes back again towards Ronan McGarrity. In they go. John O'Leary just about holds on. But there's a player inside there. It was Kieran McBride. He was pushing, and it'll be a free out to Dublin. If you have a weak heart, I don't envy you right now.
There was one that nearly went right in already. Came a great ball in quickly here, and John O'Leary went up for it and nearly went away from him.
Ooh.
Seemingly the Tyrone man was definitely in the square there.
Absolutely. So free out to Dublin. It's in injury time. Dublin, who last won the Sam Maguire Cup back in 1983. 12 years on, the 14 men are now in injury time, but there are just 2 points between the teams, and Tyrone can still do it. Paul Donnelly, wrestled and brought down by Gilroy. Free, 45 metres out. Will Canavan up to put this one over the bar?
I think he will, yeah. There's still a chance of getting another one.
So it's now at the discretion of referee Paddy Russell. Yes, he's going for the point, lobbed in and put over. 11 points for Peter Canavan. What a contribution. But does he finish on the losing team? The next few seconds will tell the story.
This man, Peter Canavan, is a complete class act. He's one of the best forwards that I've seen around for a long, long while, both from play and from place forward.
He has certainly illuminated a final where there was too much pulling, dragging, freeze and so on. Vinnie Murphy is on for the last few seconds. Charlie and Mick Galvin there ready to acclaim the rest of the squad. So Vinnie Murphy comes on and Desi Farrell makes way. Dublin created 25 chances, Tyrone 18 chances, second half, or the game overall I should say. John O'Leary the kick out. So now, what's going to happen here? Only a point in it. Fergal Logan has it for Tyrone. Are we to have a first draw since 1988? Here's McGarrity. McGarrity wrestled down by Paul Clark. Free kick quickly taken. Kieran Cohen is unmarked. Cole, will he go for the score? He's pumping it in. McBride comes, so does John O'Leary. Fists it away. Only as far as Peter Canavan. Touches it on the ground and it's a free out. The Tyrone fans think that they've scored an equaliser. So does Sean McLaughlin. But the referee's whistle has sounded and delight will turn to agony for Sean McLaughlin. This is where the ball was fisted away very well by goalkeeper John O'Leary, and the ball was touched on the ground there.
Normally that would be allowed in most games, you know, and I suppose it was hard looking away that Peter Canavan slipped, because if he got it in his hands it would have been the equaliser anyway. But that could be Tyrone's very last chance now.
Well, on such decisions, our matches sometimes settled. Pat Duggan wondering whether Paddy Moran's okay. We've now played 3 minutes of added time. There can't be much more. Dublin lead by a point. Keith Barr kicks it, and Dublin are the All-Ireland champions from 1995. They did hang on. They were down to 14 men after goal scorer Charlie Redmond was sent off in somewhat bizarre circumstances. Pat O'Neill has finally triumphed. John Costello celebrating with him. Delight, delight, delight. I wonder what he has to say.
It must be a marvellous moment at last for Dublin.
Yeah, great thrill.
Tell us how you feel at this moment, Pat.
I think the message, Tony, is that he feels absolutely brilliant. So many disappointments, so many heartaches over the years. But heartache this afternoon was Tyrone's lot.
After Charlie got sent off, our backs were to the wall. But in fairness to our fellas, the work, the tackling, the commitment today was superb. Well done.
Well done, Fran, thank you.
Fran Ryder, one of the selectors there with Tony O'Donoghue. They're absolutely delighted. So Sam Maguire finally rests by the Liffey. By just a point, however. Dublin won 10, Tyrone 12 points. And Mick O'Dwyer, when you look back at that and you say that last point by Sean McLaughlin was ruled out because of the foul of the ball by Peter Canavan, Tyrone could have had a second day out.
Yeah, and I think it would have been only fitting that Peter Canavan would have been the man that should have got it, because he had an outstanding game. And 9 times out of 10, as I said, that would have been allowed, you know. I mean, our rules are a little bit loose in that aspect. I always heard that when you were on the ground and if the ball was near you, that you could punch it away.
Jim Brogan of the Dubs, congratulations. At last, Sam Maguire is back in the capital.
It is, Tony. Thanks very much.
What about that game? It was an incredible second half, a controversial second half.
Well, it was, but I mean, it's over now, and the Sam is back.
You've been waiting long enough, is that all you can say to me?
Well, that's what it was about. It was about winning today, and the lads did a business, and fair play to them.
Bobby Doyle, your feelings at this time?
I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm delighted for the lads. They worked very hard over the last 4 years. It wasn't a pretty game. We would have liked to win in a more convincing style. But a win is a win. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We won. We had the man short. They worked extremely hard, every one of the lads who were put on. And we are absolutely delighted for them.
What about that sending off of Charlie Redmond? It was very strange, to say the least.
It was quite strange when you see the incident that happened the far side of the field and it was only a booking for it. That's quite strange, huh?
And 23 minutes or so in the second half without a score from either team.
Very unusual in Gaelic football, extremely unusual, but a very tense situation. I don't know. I didn't realise that that's the way it was. But Paul Clark got that very important point for us, which is a super point.
Well, not to pour cold water on a marvellous victory for the Dubs. You've been waiting a long time.
Yes, indeed. You know, as I said, I would have prepared if it was delightful football, but they seldom are. You know, victory is a victory. At the end of the day, we're absolutely chuffed, and hopefully we can roll on from this and maybe win another one or two.
Well done, Bobby. Thank you. John Costello is here as well. John, what will this victory mean for Dublin football now?
It's great for the propagation of Gaelic games in the city. Gaelic games are never at a higher level, and this will be a very great encouragement to all the club officials, all the voluntary coaches that we have in the schools and all that, and it's tremendous, and it's a great fill-up for the association in Dublin here.
So I get to Sam in a minute if you want to stay quiet. However, our sympathy goes to Tyrone for a great display for the first time for many years in Croke Park. An inexperienced team, but they gave a magnificent show and can go home from here with great credit, and hopefully Begsi the National League or Don Rohar or Sorrywad. But today belongs to Dublin, and congratulations to all the teams that have worked so hard for so many years. This brings us to the end of our year in Cup of New Class Players. The Football Championship this year is sponsored again by the Bank of Ireland, who are represented here on my left by Patrick Dole. To all of the stewards and everybody who made such a great success, but chiefly to the supporters of all the teams, and particularly the Dubs, for their great support for this great Dublin team. And especially to offer and turn to our brother, there's the captain, John O'Leary. John O'Leary.
The Bank of Ireland Football Championship is won by Dublin. Biddy Early is resting happy in the heavens with Biddy Mulligan. Dublin take a 22nd title.
Gilbert. Look around the Heron. Look around, come on, look, last game. Wouldn't it be great if it was like this all the time? 1983. It seems like only yesterday now. Well, it's been 12 long years since Sam was back in Dublin. And in those 12 years, a lot of players, a lot of managers have worked very hard for the day. And I'd like to remember a few of them. Kevin Heffernan, Brian Mullins, Jerry McCall, Paddy Cullen, and the present management team, whose passion for the game has been hard to match at times, but I think we matched it today. To Pat O'Neill, Jim Brogan, Bobby Doyle, and Fran Ryder, thank you very much. Along the way, there's some great players to play for Dublin. And luckily they never win an All-Ireland medal, but they put their heart. We remember today, players like the great Mick Kennedy, Davy Farn, Tommy Carr, Eamon Healy, Noel McCaffrey, and Manny Moore. We remember you all today. To all our fans, be they fair weather or all weather, this is for you. We remember Jack Sheedy, and Jerry Matisse, who will luckily miss today. Thanks to Tom Moriarty for getting the head right. Proper, so many will attack, I can't remember. And finally, but I'll 3 shares for Tyrone. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. Someone's back in Dublin. Let's stop there.
Happy Dubliners. Dublin alive, alive, oh. And Jason and Keith Barr, they're out in the front of it all. Brian Steins played in defence during the second half. It's been a long time coming back to the capital, but Sam Maguire is back by the Liffey. Jim Gavin there alongside Jason Sherlock. Paul Beelan, what a match he played. Nick Deegan there, the latest to hold up. Sam Maguire. There'll be a couple of weeks, a couple of months. There won't be too much work done in Dublin tomorrow. Well, we'll be back with more of the celebrations in just a couple of moments' time.
And hard work.
It certainly was a busy day, especially the last 35 minutes, and I just couldn't believe it was over. I thought it was about 10 minutes still to go.
John, you played in a lot of Dublin teams. You waited a long time for this day.
Waited a long time for this day, 12 years, and obviously it's the sweetest one now. It's taken us a long to come, but what a game.
How did it all feel to you looking up the field?
Dreadful, dreadful. I don't want to go through that again.
All right. Now, what about this man beside you? You needed a point later on. He dug it out.
Well, we did. I thought he'd never kick it over, but he's been practicing all week, and fair play to Clark. He's done it before. He did it again today, and great stuff.
Paul, I think they'll say that that's the point that won this cup.
I had chances. I missed a few frees. Now I was disappointed with that, but this man beside me had the faith and give me the ball, but over she went, I know.
Was it Keith who gave you the ball?
Oh, the main man.
Well, Keith, come in and tell us about that last ball you get Paul Clark for that point.
Haven't got a clue, Jim, to be honest with you. The only one who could give it to. If it was anybody else, who would have given it to someone else.
Keith, what did you think of it all?
It was hectic out there. I'm just so glad it's all over. It really is. It's like a donkey off your back. And in some way sure was. I can tell you that. Now, we're just so happy and delighted for everybody in Dublin. Delighted for the players, the management. A lot of work went into this. It's 4 or 5, I'm 7 years in the Dublin football team, and it took us this long to win one. I tell you, I won't be going to another 7.
Yeah, but Keith, once or twice in the past when you lost All Ireland, you didn't have Brian Steins, you had him today.
Yeah, played very well. Everybody, a man team.
Brian, well done, many congratulations.
Thanks
on
very
behalf
much.
of everybody. How did it all seem to you?
Just, it hasn't sunk in yet, you know. I've been thinking about this since I was a kid, you know. And I've lost six between All Ireland finals and grand finals in Australia in the last 6 years, and this is makes up for every single one I lost. And I just want to sit back and take it in for the next year.
They say there's fantastic atmosphere in Australia, but what about the atmosphere coming down from the hill today?
You'll never beat the hill. The hill is the best place in the world. I just love to be here.
Charlie Redmond, a mixed kind of day for you, Charlie, but you want this All-Ireland medal, now you've got it.
Well, a mixed day. I wish it was one of these every Sunday. Brian was saying he's been dreaming about this day since he was a kid. I've been playing since he was a kid, trying to get this thing. But a great day for Dublin, and hopefully it'll be great for Dublin football in the future.
Well, Charlie, all your pals on the team came around here and congratulated you and hugged you. There's a fair bond in this team.
Well, there always has been down through the years, and I think the bond will be even greater now.
Right, and what about this man, Jesse Farrell, Charlie? They said at times that you carried Dublin forward lines in the past, but this man's had some year.
Well, I was showing him all the years how to do it, and I think now he's the master and he's showing other people how to do it.
Fair enough, Jesse. A nice compliment for you there from Charlie. But there was times in the past when Charlie dug it out for Dublin.
Oh, he has indeed, and he's always been a true dog, and we looked up to him over the years, and although he got sent off today, sure, so all about it.
Desi, it's been some year for you.
Yeah, it's great, but it's not just a great year for me, it's a great year for the whole panel of the Dublin players, and it's not just the 15 that was out there. It's Pat Gilroy, it's Wayne Daly, it's John O'Callaghan, it's Borner, it's the whole lot of them. It's everybody's this is.
Yes, and we must have a thought for Pat O'Neill, the manager, and the selectors. They too sweated and I suppose cried a bit the odd time too.
Yeah, well, if anybody could put in more work than we did, it was the management, because they did an awful lot behind the scenes. And also a thought for Dermot Deasy. Very tough on him missing out today, but for my money he's been one of the best full-backs this Gaelic football has ever seen, and we did it for him today.
Yeah, it's nice, Charlie, Desi, that you think of the men who weren't there. Charlie has done as well. And what about the city, Desi? They say the city needed this All-Ireland.
Yes, the players needed it too, and we're just so delighted, and we're going to enjoy this whole year, and I'll tell you what, we'll winter very well this winter.
All right, and I think that sums it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely no doubt at all that they will. Jim Carney there with the reactions of some of the Dublin players after the match. Let me get the reactions now of the two men who've been on our presentation panel here this afternoon, Martin McHugh and Sean Boylan. And Sean, you know exactly what that experience feels like, and I'm sure you feel for the Dublin players now.
It's a fantastic, it's the greatest experience in the world, and if somebody said to you that coming out in the second half, the Dublin only scored 2 points, and so what about it? Like they've won the All-Ireland, they've strived so hard for it, they've had a lot of disappointments, it took a lot of courage to hang in there and stick in there, and at one stage there today it looked as though things were going against them, but they knuckled down, never gave in, never gave an inch, and they've got the reward, they've got the result. It is very tough on Dermot Deasy. Great man, great player, has been a great servant to the game, and it is tough on him, but as I said, the lads, they did it out there from there today.
Martin McHugh, that was one of the most bizarre second halves of football that I've seen for a long time.
Yeah, it was completely, I mean, the sending off situation, the referee seemed to send Charlie off, and then Charlie stayed on the field, and as we were seeing here, if he had a score when he was on the field, what would have happened? And then he realised he was back on the field. I thought the referee lost control of the match at that stage for a while, and it was very hard to get it back. And I think the second half, I mean, when we look back on it after today, it's great for Dublin that there was a very, very poor match and a very poor second half. We look at it from a Tyrone point of view. Peter Canavan scored 11 points. Jody Gormley got the other one. None of the rest of the forwards scored. You can't win All-Ireland finals like that. You need more than that. But in saying that, it's good for Dublin, and as people say, Dublin needed this All-Ireland. It's hateful it wasn't a better match, because I think we needed a good match in the GAA, but they'll not worry about that.
Dublin showed an awful lot of character, Martin, but it was only 1 point to win in the end, and the incident at the very end where Tyrone had a point disallowed and free out for Dublin was an interesting one, because we might have another look at this and just see what your thoughts on it are.
I thought the referee would have blown up before the kick-out. The ball went across, and John O'Leary came off his line and first of all, Peter took it. I would say he played the ball on the ground, but just haven't seen it now. But Tyrone were very vexed about that.
You're not allowed.
Well, I think if you have to be actually, if you're falling away from the ball, I think you can play it on the ground. I think a lot of Tyrone people felt it was a genuine score. It's just one of them things. I think that. Yeah, no, he played it on the ground, all right. Yeah, definitely free out. That was a right decision.
Sure.
It's definitely played on the ground.
But heart-stopping moments for the Dublin supporters nonetheless.
It was, yeah. Well, I think it was at that stage it went into 36.5 minutes. But I think that suppose Dublin will be happy, but Tyrone, when they look back, and a lot of them didn't play well, and they'll look back and they'll hopefully get another chance, but they'll look back and they'll be disappointed with their own performance.
All right, gentlemen, well, obviously where there are winners, there must also be losers. Thank you very much, Martin McHugh and Sean Boylan, for joining me here this evening. That's where we must leave it from Croke Park, but of course, as ever, we remind you that the Sunday game tonight, 9 o'clock on Network 2, we'll have a full review of this afternoon's All-Ireland football final. We'll also be going to the Victor's Banquet, and we'll have other reaction as well from Colin O'Rourke, of course, and from Pat Spillane. And don't forget, we'll also be naming our man of the match from the 1995 All-Ireland football final. Hope you'll join me then. For the moment, from Croke Park, on a great day for the Dubs. Bye-bye.